Hello everyone. Each new morning is not just the start of another day, but a divine invitation to live, to grow, and to experience the blessings God has prepared for us. Yet too often, we open our eyes and rush into the world without pausing to thank the one who gave us another sunrise. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a powerful form of prayer that shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, from our struggles to our blessings, and from anxiety to peace. When you begin your day with a prayer of gratitude, you are choosing to align your heart with God's goodness. You are saying, "Lord, before I ask for anything, I thank you for everything." This simple act of acknowledgement opens doors that worry keeps closed. Gratitude softens the heart, silences fear, and attracts grace into your day. Imagine starting your morning by whispering, "Thank you, Lord, for the breath in my lungs, for the strength in my body, for the love that surrounds me, and for the purpose that guides me." When you start your day this way, you invite peace to sit where chaos once ruled. You invite joy to rise above stress. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances immediately, but it changes your perspective instantly. It transforms an ordinary morning into a sacred moment. Gratitude also reminds us that life itself is a miracle. Each heartbeat is a testimony of God's mercy. Each sunrise is a promise that His grace is new every morning. When you start your day in prayer, you are declaring, "I trust you, God, with my today." And that declaration builds spiritual strength, because a thankful heart cannot be easily shaken. So before you reach for your phone, before you check your messages, pause and pray. Give thanks for what you already have, for what you have overcome, and for what's yet to come. Let your first words of the day be words of gratitude, not complaint. Speak life into your morning. Speak peace into your path. Speak faith into your fears. Gratitude is the seed of abundance. The more thankful you are, the more reasons you find to be thankful for. When your heart is grateful, your day becomes brighter, your steps become lighter, and your spirit becomes stronger. A grateful morning builds a peaceful day, and a peaceful day builds a joyful life. So start today, and every day after this, with a prayer of gratitude. Say thank you, Lord, and watch how every moment begins to feel like a blessing in motion. Gratitude is a spiritual reset that shifts the entire atmosphere of your heart and mind. When you pause and choose to be thankful, you are choosing to see life through the lens of grace, rather than through the weight of worry. Every moment you give thanks becomes a moment where heaven touches earth. Because gratitude realigns your spirit with the goodness of God. It takes your attention away from what is missing and focuses it on what is present. It turns complaints into contentment and burdens into blessings. When you start your day with gratitude, you are pressing the reset button of your soul, clearing away the clutter of yesterday and opening your heart for the peace and presence of God to dwell within you. So many times we wake up thinking about our problems, our deadlines, and the challenges waiting for us, but gratitude interrupts that pattern. It reminds us that we are not empty, we are full of unseen gifts, the breath in our lungs, the heartbeat that continues without our command, the sunrise that greets us with new hope. All are gentle reminders of divine mercy. When you pause to thank God for these things, your mind begins to shift, your spirit becomes calm, and your worries lose their power. Gratitude is not about ignoring your pain or pretending life is perfect. It is about acknowledging that even in imperfection there is still beauty, even in struggle there is still strength. And even in waiting, there is still purpose. A grateful heart has the power to heal. It replaces bitterness with peace. It transforms restlessness into trust, and it fills the voids of fear with faith. Every time you say thank you, you are inviting light into dark places. Gratitude lifts you out of the chaos of the world and anchors you in the stillness of God's presence. When you begin to thank Him for what He has already done, your faith grows for what He is yet to do. Gratitude builds confidence because it reminds you of how far you have already come. It whispers, "You made it through before, and you will make it through again." When life feels heavy and the noise of negativity surrounds you, gratitude becomes your shield. It stops you from falling into comparison and reminds you that your story is unique and your blessings are your own. It humbles the ego and strengthens the soul, because a thankful heart does not demand more, it cherishes what already is, and in that humility, God multiplies favor and peace. When you live in gratitude, you begin to notice miracles in the mundane, the small acts of kindness, the laughter of a child, the warmth of sunlight on your face. All of it becomes sacred because your heart is awake to the wonder of creation. Gratitude resets your spiritual rhythm. It teaches your heart to dance again. It softens the hardened places that pain once built and opens your spirit to receive new joy. It is a daily choice, a sacred habit that keeps you aligned with divine grace. And even when the day feels dark, gratitude becomes your light. It whispers that every storm passes, every season changes, and every morning carries a new chance to begin again. So let gratitude be your reset. Each day, wake up and say thank you. Before you say anything else, breathe deeply and remember you are alive. You are loved, you are guided, and you are blessed. And that awareness alone can transform your entire day into an act of worship. Morning prayer sets the tone for your entire day because the first moments after you wake are sacred. They are the foundation on which the rest of your hours are built. When you begin your morning in conversation with God, you are not just speaking words into the air. You are aligning your heart with His presence and His purpose. The tone you set in those quiet minutes determines how you will handle the noise that follows. Prayer is not a ritual to check off, but a connection to renew. It is your soul's way of saying, before I face the world, I will first face you. Lord, when you pray in the morning, you invite peace before problems arise. You choose calm over chaos and trust over tension. Prayer gives your heart direction and your mind clarity. It is in those still moments that God prepares your spirit for what the day may bring. Without prayer, the heart can drift easily into worry and the mind can become filled with distractions, but prayer grounds you. It gives you strength to face challenges with faith rather than fear. When you start your morning talking to God, you are setting a tone of gratitude rather than complaint, of faith rather than frustration, of purpose rather than confusion. Morning prayer also reminds you that you are not walking through the day alone. It repositions your focus from self dependence to divine dependence. Every time you whisper, Lord, guide me today, you are surrendering your control and making room for His wisdom to lead you. Prayer has the power to reshape your attitude. It changes how you respond to negativity, how you view setbacks, and how you handle pressure, because when you start your day in the presence of peace, it becomes harder for worry to take hold. Each morning is like a blank page, and prayer is the ink that writes the story of your day. When you begin with prayer, you declare that this day belongs to God, that whatever comes your way, He is already in control. It gives you the strength to forgive easily, love deeply, and act kindly. Prayer fills the empty spaces of your heart with divine assurance, and when the noise of the world tries to shake you, the calm from your morning conversation with God becomes your anchor. There is something deeply powerful about waking up and speaking life into your morning, thanking God for the breath you take, for the opportunities ahead, for the unseen protection that surrounds you. It shifts your mindset from anxiety to appreciation. It reminds you that each sunrise is a symbol of mercy renewed and hope reborn. When you make prayer your first response instead of your last resort, everything changes. Your thoughts become clearer, your emotions steadier, your faith stronger, because you have invited God to go before you. Morning prayer is not just about asking, it is about aligning. It is about tuning your heart to the frequency of heaven, so that throughout the day you can recognize God's whispers and sense His direction. When you pray early, you are preparing your heart for patience, your mind for wisdom, and your words for kindness. It transforms ordinary moments into divine appointments and turns the simplest acts of the day into opportunities to reflect love. So never underestimate the power of a morning prayer. It may seem small, but its impact is eternal. It sets the rhythm of your soul to peace instead of panic, to faith instead of fear, to joy instead of heaviness. Begin each day in prayer, not because life is perfect, but because you trust the one who holds your day. And when you do that, every sunrise becomes a reminder that your steps are ordered, your heart is steady, and your spirit is ready to walk in grace. Thankfulness invites peace into your heart because it changes the way you see life. When you choose to be thankful, you open the door for calmness to enter and push anxiety away. A thankful heart cannot stay heavy for long because it learns to focus on blessings rather than burdens. When you practice gratitude, you are telling your soul to rest in what is good instead of worrying about what is missing. Peace begins where appreciation lives. It does not mean everything in life is perfect, but it means you have chosen to find light even in the middle of darkness. Thankfulness has the power to quiet the noise of worry. It softens the restless thoughts that try to steal your joy, and replaces them with a deep sense of contentment when you wake up and thank God for the simple things: your breath, your family, your health, your purpose. You are reminding yourself that life is a gift, and that alone brings peace. The heart that gives thanks does not have space for fear, because gratitude and fear cannot live together. One lifts your spirit, while the other drains it. Every time you whisper "Thank you, Lord," peace gently settles over your soul. Because your focus shifts from problems to promises. When you live in thankfulness, you stop fighting for control and start trusting the one who already has control. Peace comes from surrender, and gratitude is the doorway to that surrender. It is the moment you realize that even when you do not understand everything, God is still working for your good. A thankful person does not chase happiness, they create it through awareness of God's presence and goodness. Thankfulness allows you to breathe deeply again, to smile in the middle of challenges, and to rest knowing you are cared for. So often we wait for peace to appear after everything is fixed, but peace begins the moment you start giving thanks, even in the middle of uncertainty. When you say "Thank you for what I have, thank you for what I have learned, thank you for what is yet to come," your heart begins to release the tension that builds. Thankfulness teaches you to live in the present, to stop replaying the past, and to stop worrying about the future, because you understand that today is enough, and God is here in this moment. Thankfulness also heals relationships. It turns bitterness into understanding and criticism into compassion. When you start appreciating others rather than focusing on their flaws, peace begins to grow in your connections with them. Gratitude teaches you humility. It reminds you that everything you have is a gift, and when you live with that awareness, you stop comparing and start celebrating the goodness around you. The more thankful you become, the more peaceful your environment becomes, because you attract the energy you nurture inside your heart. Being thankful invites peace, not just emotionally, but spiritually. It connects you deeper with God, because gratitude is a form of worship. It is saying, "Lord, I may not have everything I want, but I have everything I need in you." And that realization brings unshakable calmness. It reminds you that no matter what comes your way, you are guided, protected, and loved. Even when storms arise, gratitude helps you see the rainbow of hope hidden behind clouds. Peace is not found in the absence of problems, it is found in the presence of a grateful heart. When you wake each day with thankfulness, you carry peace with you. Wherever you go, the world may change around you, but your inner world remains steady. So live thankfully, speak thankfully, and think thankfully. Let gratitude be your daily language, and you will discover that peace is not something you have to search, for it will find you, because your heart is already open to receive it. Gratitude builds faith, because every time you stop to thank God for what He has done, you strengthen your trust in what He will do. When you take a moment to look back and recognize how far you have come, you realize that His hand was guiding you all along. Gratitude opens your eyes to the miracles that have already happened in your life, the doors that opened, the prayers that were answered, the times you were protected without even knowing it. Each thank you becomes a testimony that deepens your belief that God is faithful and present in every season. Faith grows when you remember God's goodness. Gratitude is the soil in which faith takes root, because when you are thankful for yesterday, you are hopeful tomorrow. Every expression of gratitude is like adding a brick to the foundation of your spiritual confidence. When you choose to give thanks even when things are uncertain, you are saying, "I may not see it yet, but I believe that God is still working." Gratitude turns waiting into worship. It transforms fear into faith and transforms discouragement into determination. When you make gratitude a daily habit, you begin to see God's fingerprints in the smallest details of your life. You start to notice how things that once felt like disappointments were actually divine redirections, how pain led to growth, how loss led to new beginnings. When you thank God for both the blessings and the lessons, your faith becomes mature, because you learn to trust Him not just in victory, but also in the valley. You begin to understand that His plans are always wiser than your own, and that every step, even the uncertain ones, are guided by love. Gratitude also teaches patience. It reminds you that faith is not built in comfort, but in consistency. When you give thanks in moments of delay, you are showing that your faith is not based on outcomes, but on trust. It takes strength to thank God when the answer has not yet arrived, but that act of gratitude becomes a seed of faith planted in the soil of hope. It tells God, "I believe in your timing more than my own," and that belief allows peace to replace impatience and hope to replace doubt. A grateful heart sees every challenge as an opportunity for God to reveal His power power, it does not deny the pain, but it chooses to believe in purpose beyond the pain. Gratitude helps you recall past victories, which fuels your confidence for future ones. Every time you remember how God brought you through before you remind yourself that He can do it again, gratitude helps you see your life as a continuous story of grace and provision, and that awareness keeps your faith alive even when the path ahead seems unclear. When you practice gratitude, your prayers begin to change. Instead of constantly asking, you start thanking. Instead of pleading, you start trusting. You begin to live in assurance rather than anxiety, because you realize that the one who was faithful yesterday is still faithful today and will remain faithful tomorrow. Gratitude becomes your anchor. It keeps your faith steady in storms and your hope unshaken in uncertainty. It transforms your relationship with God from one of fear to one of friendship. So let every thank you become a declaration of faith. Let every moment of appreciation remind you that you are never alone. Gratitude builds a bridge between your past experiences and your future expectations. It helps you believe that God is still writing your story with purpose and love. When your heart is full of gratitude, your faith grows naturally because you stop focusing on what is missing and start trusting in what is promised. Gratitude does not just build faith, it sustains it. And through that faith, you learn to walk with peace, knowing that every step you take is guided by grace. Every new day is a gift, a sacred opportunity wrapped in light and grace that many people take for granted. When your eyes open in the morning and your lungs fill with breath, that moment itself is a miracle. Life is not something we are owed, it is something we are entrusted with. Every sunrise is another chance to grow, to love, to forgive, and to live with purpose. Each day arrives with new possibilities that yesterday could not hold, and when you begin to see it that way, your heart naturally fills with gratitude and humility. Every new day is God's gentle reminder that no matter what happened before, you still have time to start again. It is His way of saying that your story is not over, and that there is still more to experience, more to learn, and more to give. Yesterday's mistakes do not define you. Today's opportunities do. When you treat the new day as a divine gift, you no longer rush through it carelessly. You begin to notice the small wonders, the laughter of a loved one, the beauty of the sky, the quiet strength in your heart. These things are not random. They are reminders that life itself is precious. A new day is not promised to anyone, yet it is given freely to all, regardless of what we deserve. That alone should humble our spirit. Every morning is another chance to walk closer with God, to make choices that reflect kindness and compassion, to repair what is broken, and to plant new seeds of hope, even if the past has been filled with pain. Morning brings healing in its light. It carries with it the message that redemption is always possible, and that joy can still return. When you wake up with this awareness, you stop living in regret and start living in intention. You begin to understand that time is a treasure, and that every moment counts. The people you meet, the words you speak, and the actions you take all become part of how you use this gift we call today. And when you live consciously, you make each hour meaningful. You love deeper, forgive faster, and worry less, because you understand that tomorrow is not guaranteed. Every day is a reminder that you are still part of a bigger plan. It means there is still something left for you to do, something left for you to learn, or someone left for you to help. You are still here because your purpose is not complete. Sometimes life can feel heavy and uncertain, but even in those seasons, the gift of a new day brings hope that what feels broken can be healed, and what feels lost can be found. Each dawn carries with it the quiet promise that grace has not run out, and mercy is still renewed. When you begin your day with that mind set, you live differently. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and start appreciating the moment you are in. You find beauty even in the simple things, because you recognize them as gifts. The sound of the wind, the taste of morning coffee, the smile of a friend, all of it becomes sacred because it reminds you that you are alive, that you have been given another chance to be a light in the world. So do not take this day for granted. Live it fully. Speak words that heal, do work that matters, and love the people around you deeply. Remember that this very day was not promised, but was still freely given to you, and that means it has purpose. Every day is a gift, not to be wasted, but to be opened with gratitude, because within it lies another opportunity to become the person you were created to be, to grow in grace and to shine in faith, knowing that this day, like all others, is a precious piece of eternity placed gently in your hands. Consistency matters because it is the bridge between intention and transformation. It is easy to feel inspired for a moment, to make promises in times of motivation, But true growth comes from showing up every single day, even when the excitement fades. Consistency is the quiet discipline that turns small effort into lasting change. It builds strength, character, and faith one step at a time. It is not about perfection, but about persistence, because every time you stay committed, you are proving to yourself that progress is possible in life. And in faith, consistency is what keeps your spirit grounded when emotions fluctuate and circumstances shift. When you choose to pray daily, even when you do not feel like it, you are building a relationship with God that is not based on mood, but on devotion. When you give thanks every morning, your heart begins to change, not because of one great moment, but because of many small moments of gratitude that shape your perspective. Consistency trains your mind to stay focused and your heart to stay steady. It is the act of doing what is right repeatedly until it becomes part of who you are. Consistency matters because results do not come from what you do occasionally. They come from what you do continually. You cannot plant a seed one day and expect a tree the next. You must water it, nurture it, and protect it over time. The same is true for faith, habits, relationships, and dreams. When you show up daily, even in small ways, growth happens quietly beneath the surface. And one day you will look back and realize that all those small acts built something strong within you. Many people give up too soon, not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. They start with passion but lose patience when results take time. Yet every great transformation, whether spiritual, personal, or emotional, is the result of staying the course. The power of consistency lies in its ability to turn ordinary routines into extraordinary outcomes. When you choose to stay faithful, even in silence, you are building unseen strength. Every prayer, every effort, every act of love adds up over time. Consistency also builds trust. It tells others and yourself that your word has weight, that your actions are dependable, and that your commitment is real. When you are consistent in your kindness, people feel safe around you. When you are consistent in your work, you earn respect. When you are consistent in your spiritual walk, you grow deeper in peace and understanding. Even God honors consistency because it reflects faithfulness. It shows that you value the process as much as the promise. It is not about never falling. It is about rising every time you do. Consistency teaches resilience. It teaches that progress may be slow, but it is still progress. It helps you see that even the smallest steps taken daily are more powerful than great leaps taken rarely. It is in those daily choices, those repeated prayers, those quiet acts of discipline, that real transformation happens. When life feels unstable, consistency becomes your anchor. It keeps you from drifting away from your purpose. It reminds you that steady progress is still progress, and that even when you cannot see change, it is happening within you, slowly shaping your heart and strengthening your faith. So be consistent in gratitude, in prayer, in kindness, and in faithfulness, because these daily habits are what prepare you for greater things. Consistency matters because it is proof of true commitment. Anyone can start something, but only the consistent finish strong. When you stay steady, you become reliable. When you keep showing up, you become unstoppable. And when you remain faithful, even when no one sees you, God does, and He rewards persistence with purpose and progress. So keep showing up every day, even when it is hard, because one day you will see that your consistency was the key that unlocked everything you prayed for.